Sorry about that. So we're going to focus on this skill, the skill of inviting. Very important skill. It's the second skill. Okay. Just to put things in context, we have 7 skills to learn: prospecting, then inviting, which is the skill we are focusing on today. All right. Then there's presenting, there's closing, there's following up, there's sponsoring and signing up, there's duplication. All right. So let's delve in to inviting, the second skill of our business. Now, this is a very important skill. Inviting is, so what is inviting? It's basically the art of basically the art of setting an appointment, yeah, with your prospect, either for your opportunity or your product. Okay, it is also known as the gateway skill. Why? Because the person who invites the most makes the most money. This is the first skill that really leads to your income generation. So, what are the goals of inviting? Number one, the first goal of inviting is setting an appointment. Okay. The second goal is to reduce the rates of rejection. And the tool that is used for the invitation process is known as the diary. And your diary, of course, must be for the relevant year, for the year in question. All right. Okay. So, okay. So that's very important. Okay. Now, it's very important that I tell you what the invite is not. The invite is not a begging. You're not begging during this invite. You're not tricking your prospect. You're not bribing your prospect. Okay. You are not convincing your prospect. Okay. The invite is simply allowing your prospect to view your opportunity in order for them to see if it benefits them, just like any other business. Are we together? Yeah. So that is what inviting is. You're not begging or convincing anyone or tricking anyone or bribing anyone. Are we together? Okay. Now there are 3 types of prospects. Okay. Um, based and this typing is basically based on your familiarity with your prospect, uh, and and in that scenario, then we divide them into hot market prospects, warm market prospects, and cold market prospects. Hot market prospects are your family members and your close friends. These are people who know you from the inside out. You know, people like childhood friends, your brother, your sister. Those are hot market prospects. Okay, these are people whom, let's say, if you called them on the phone with an unknown number, and you began to speak with them, they will immediately recognize your voice and identify who you are. Are we together? Those are your hot market prospects. Now, warm market prospects, these are people that you meet regularly as you go about your life. You know, as you go to church, as you go to school, as you go to the workplace, as you buy bread from the kiosk, as you know go to the butchery to buy meat. Okay, as you go to the bank, wherever you know, these are people that you meet as a result of you just doing your normal things, and you meet them on a regular basis. Are we together? Now, cold market prospects, simply put, are total strangers. These are people you've never met. Okay. Now, it doesn't matter which group your prospect comes from. It is very possible to invite each and every one of them. Now, one tip you should know even as you prepare to invite your prospect after you've gotten their number is this: calling is the best way to invite your prospect. Okay, and it is recommended that you should call your prospect at the very latest 48 hours after you have collected the contact from your prospect. Your invitation call should not be longer than 90 seconds. Are we together? It should not be longer than how long? 90 seconds. Okay, this is very important so that you can even reduce the chances of being asked unnecessary questions. So let's step into it. Invitation is a process, it's a stepwise process, and I'm going to take you through the steps of inviting. Okay, so basically the first one is being in a hurry. Then number 2, compliment your prospect. Number 3, make the invitation. Number 4, if I would you. Number 5, confirmation of the confirmation. Number 1, where you get the time commitment. Confirmation number 2 is step number 6. You confirm the time commitment. Okay, then depending on whether it's a follow-up invitation or a first exposure invitation, you can schedule the next exposure call where applicable. And finally, number 8, you must hang up immediately. Okay, all right, good. So step number 1, being in a hurry. This is very important. Psychology has proven that people are more attracted to individuals who always have things to do. If you begin every invitation call by giving the impression that you are in a hurry, then your calls will be much shorter, okay, with chances of fewer questions, if any, and resistance will be reduced, all because your prospect will value your time. Now, it's very important. The rest of the invitation process pegs on this first step. If you adequately give the impression to your prospects that you are in a hurry, my friend, here's the truth. The rest of your invitation process will be smooth, okay? The rest of your invitation process will be smooth. So the first thing you must remember, make sure that you show your prospect that you are in a hurry. And it's very simple how we do it, okay? Now, an example over here, okay? You can say something like, I am rushing somewhere, but I am glad I could reach you at this time, okay? Another example, now is not the time or place, but I am glad I could talk to you real quick, okay? Another example, I am rushing for a meeting, but I'm glad that I could reach out to you. Being in a hurry is very, very important in your, invitation process. That is why it is the first, okay? Now, a bonus point for you, since I usually purpose to take at most 90 seconds in my invitation process, personally for myself, I usually find that it helps to go ahead and specify how long the call will last. For example, I usually tell my prospects, I am rushing into a meeting, but I am glad I could reach out to you. Uh, to you. Do you have 30 seconds to spare? Is that okay? Okay. It's important that you begin to dictate the length of time you intend to take during your invitation call. This will be very important so that you can also reduce your chances of, being asked too many unnecessary questions. Okay, good. Right now, now step number 2, complementing the prospect. This one is also very important because it helps in reducing rejections. Okay, this is priceless as it makes the prospect more agreeable to whatever you have to say, thus reducing the chances of any negative or antagonistic responses. Okay, basically it breaks down and reduces the chances of negativity. The key to this step is that your compliment must be sincere. So find something that you can honestly comment positively about. This will literally double your invitation rates, okay? Now, don't just make superficial compliments, okay? For example, you find a lady who's dressed well, don't just comment about her dressing. Go further deeper and probably tell her that she must be someone who is meticulous about her dressing. Are we together? So let your compliments be sincere, and you'll find your second step of the invitation process will be much better. Now, people love compliments, but they do not get them often. So anyone who gives them a sincere compliment has won their loyalty. This step has a greater chance of succeeding, especially after you have given the impression to your prospect that you are in a hurry. You see, how would you feel if a very important person was rushing somewhere but took time to give you a compliment even as he was rushing? Okay, so complimenting is very, very important. Always make sure that you're complimenting people. All right, as a network marketing professional, this will take you places, very far places. Okay, so an example over here. Okay, for the warm market, for example, you have an amazing mind for business and can see what others cannot see. That's a compliment. You see? Okay, another example. I appreciate how you have been supportive of me all this time. Okay, this is very good actually for family members and close friends, aka your hot market. Okay, for the cold market, you can tell them you are super sharp. May I ask what you do for a living? Okay, or you can tell them you have given me the best service I have ever received. Okay, that's probably maybe for a waiter. Maybe you've gone to a hotel somewhere and then a waiter has served you well. You can start like that, compliment your waiter and just get his and just invite him. You understand? Okay, all right. Step number 3, making the invitation. Now, this one is very unique because it depends on which kind of prospect you're dealing with. And also it depends on the level of success that your prospect probably has. Okay, so to make things easier, when you're making the invitation, step 3, there are 3 approaches on how to do this. Okay, for the network marketing professional, depending on how familiar he or she is with the prospect and how successful the prospect may or may not be. The first one is the direct approach, then we have the indirect approach, finally we have the super indirect approach. Moving on to the direct approach, the first way of making the invitation. The direct approach is direct. This is when you use this when you're inviting a prospect to learn about the opportunity for their own benefit. Okay, this is for their sake. Okay, now something you should note is this: the direct approach should only be reserved for people who know and respect you, or for people who are looking for something better. Okay, don't just use it for anyone. Okay, use it for people with whom you have confidence. people who you know respect you and value your opinion, or for people who you know already are looking for something better. Okay. Now, some examples of the direct approach. For the warm or the hot market, you can say something like this: when you told me that you hate your job, when you look well, that you hate your job, or you were looking for something better or need more money, were you serious or were you joking? Now, most of the time, the prospect will always say they were serious. Okay. Then you continue to say, great, I believe I found a way, okay, to solve the problem or to make it happen, something like that. Okay. So you ask them if they were serious concerning, whether they were looking for a job or whatever it is they want to accomplish. That is for someone whose goal you know. Are we together? Cold market. Have you ever thought of diversifying your income? Okay, do you keep your career options open? This is just some examples of the direct approach. Remember, the direct approach is where you are inviting the prospect to come and view the opportunity for their own benefit. Okay, the indirect approach is a bit different. Okay, this approach is about asking the prospect for help or guidance, okay, and is useful in helping people get past the initial resistance so that you can educate them on what you have to offer. This will serve you well if you perceive your prospects to be more successful or more influential than you, since it boosts that prospect's ego. Are we together? So the indirect approach is where you're asking your prospect to come and give you some guidance, some help concerning the new business that you have just started. Now, naturally, of course, and everybody usually consider would be very happy if they were called to give some advice about something. So, of course, your prospect would be more than happy to be that helping hand. Are we together? An example for the warm or the hot market. I've just started a business, but I'm really nervous. Before I get going, I need someone friendly to practice on. Would you mind if I practiced on you? This is great for family and close friends as well. Okay. Another example, a friend told me that when I start a business, I should look for guidance from people I respect. Would you be willing to do that for me if I made it simple? Understand? Who would say no to that? Okay. Cold market. My company is expanding in your area. Would you do me a favor and have a look to see if it will work here where you live? Forgive the typing error. Okay. Right. So indirect approach. You're asking your prospect to come and give his or her input concerning the new business that you have started. Okay. Moving on to the super indirect approach. Now, this is actually very, very cool. Okay. Here, you're giving your prospect the impression that they are not your prospect and that you are only interested in knowing if they might know anyone else who might benefit from your opportunity. Now, the natural response is that this prospect of yours will, of course, want to know what the business is about before they can recommend anyone to you. And in the process, you never know, they may actually get started so that they can gain from the business. That's how things are, right? An example for your warm or your hot market. The business I'm in clearly isn't for you, but I wanted to ask, who do you know that is money minded, motivated, and that would be excited about adding an extra stream of cash flow to their income? Indirect approach. For the cold market, it is exactly the same. No difference. Are we together? Okay. Yeah. So that's the super indirect approach. Okay. So you use the approach that is best suited for you. Remember, the direct approach touches on inviting the prospect to view the business for their own benefit. The indirect approach is where you are asking your prospects to come and be a helping hand to give you guidance concerning the new business you have just started. And the super indirect approach is where you are inviting your prospects with giving them the impression that they are not actually the center of your interest, but you just simply want to know whether they may know someone else who may benefit from your business. Are we together? Now, step number 4, if I would you. Now, this one is very important. I believe Eric Worre says that this is the most powerful question in network marketing in his 30 years of this career. So this is a very important question. Now, this question is powerful for a number of reasons. Why? Number one, it is a reciprocal question, yani, meaning it's that the prospect gets the impression that he will only get value from you if he is willing to give some value in return. Okay, if you show that you were in a hurry, then this aspect will work well for you. Are we together? Now, the second reason why this question is important is because it puts you in a place of power. You are not begging or asking for any favors. You are simply offering value exchange. Are we together? That increases your posture because, as I've already told you, people are attracted to people who are not begging. If you are begging, people are usually not attracted to beggars. Okay, even when you walk on the street and someone you find someone asking for 10 shillings, what is your instinct? You run away. Likewise, all right, are we together? Finally, uh, the tense of the word would implies a hypothetical situation. If I did this for you, would you do this? So it's almost as if they are not really committing. So it becomes easier. The invitation process, one of the objections of the invitation process is to reduce the chances of negative response and the chances of rejection and the chances of antagonism. All right. So if I would you puts them in a scenario where they in a virtual world, so to speak. It's like they're not in the real world anymore. If I did this for you in another world, if I did this for you, would you do this? You understand? So this is a very important part of the invitation process and should never be omitted. Okay, right? So an example: if I reserved a slot for you to meet with me at Umberto Complex tomorrow, would you honor this invitation? This is probably an invitation for a one-on-one meeting. Another example: if I added you to the WhatsApp group before the online event kicks off tonight at 8:30 p.m., would you follow the invitation to the end so that we can discuss it afterwards? That's probably an invitation for an online WhatsApp presentation, as we are probably doing now. If I sent you a meeting ID and password for tonight's Zoom event scheduled for 9:45 p.m., would you join the meeting at the allocated time? Invitation for a Zoom online presentation. Final example: if I reserved a slot for you to attend the event at Carousel Shopping Center, room number 168, tomorrow at 12:30 hours, would you show up? That's an invitation for a conference presentation, an OPP, okay? An opportunity presentation in a hall. We're together, okay? So if I would you is something that you should never omit, okay? Never omit it. Number 5, as we running through this really quick, is getting the time commitment, okay? Getting the time confirmation. Are we together? Now this step is very important because answering positively, so far your prospect has answered positively, but it does not mean that your prospect will honor your invitation, okay? Whether it's to come, maybe whether it's for a one-on-one meeting or a conference presentation, or whether it's for maybe there's a video you want them to watch, just because they've said yes to if I would you, does not really mean they're going to come. So you have to make the commitment more serious, okay, so that they can say yes at least 3 times. So you simply do this by mentioning the time and date of the event, regardless of the nature of the event, with the tonality of a question to elicit a final yes from the prospect. Forgive the typing error, okay? So an example right here. So the prospect has said, you've asked them if I would you, and they say yes, and you'll be like, all right, John, see you tomorrow at Umberto Complex by 12:30 p.m. Is that all right? And he'll say, okay, all right. You can go on. Great. I'll be looking forward to seeing you in our WhatsApp group as from 8:30 p.m. Is that okay? And he'll be like, all right. See, it really is that simple. Now, step 6, this is critical. Many people, after they have successfully made an invitation call, they now start undoing what they have done and they start talking about their aunt. Remember, you said that you are in a hurry at the very beginning. So there's no room for you to start small talk. Even if you're inviting your brother to come and see the presentation, you must hang up immediately. Are we together? So step number 6 is simple. Simply hang up immediately. Just tell them, all right, John, see you at the event. And you wish them well, have a good day, have a good night, have a good evening, or something like that. Remember, you are in a hurry. Do not forget that you are in a hurry. Now, if you're doing this business right and you're adding to your name list every day, the truth is you will actually be in a hurry because you will find that you are always talking to so many people within a small period of time. You'll probably find yourself inviting 10 people at a time, 20 people at a time, okay? So you will actually find yourself truly in a hurry and you'll not have time to waste or airtime to waste. Are we together? Good. Now, some scenarios, some examples that would help you even as you go through your invitation process. Okay, so a person you know who hates their job. In this case, you would use the direct approach. Why? Because you already know that they're looking for a better job. So here goes. How are you doing? I hope you're well. Your prospect says, I'm okay. Then you're like, anyway, I don't have much time to talk, but I'm glad I could reach out to you at this time. You see, you're showing them that you're in a hurry. May I just have a minute of your time? The prospect says, okay. And you go on, all right, you are one of the most financially intelligent people I know. And I have always respected that about you. You've given them a compliment, okay? Then you make the invitation. When you said you hated your job, were you serious or were you just joking around? You see, you've made the invitation. That's simple. Direct approach. I was serious, the prospect says. You go on and say, all right, I believe I've found a way for you to create an exit strategy. If I reserve the slot for you to meet with me at Ambara Complex tomorrow at 12:30, would you show up? If I, would you? Are we together? Then the prospect says, yes. Then you go like, awesome. See you tomorrow at Ambara Complex by 12:30 p.m. I'll just call you tomorrow morning to remind you. Is that fine with you? You've just confirmed. The prospect says, yes. You've just confirmed the time, the date, and the venue. Then you hang up. All right. You have a great day. The end. That's simple. Okay. Right. So another example, a good friend, probably a childhood friend, maybe even a brother or sister. You use the indirect approach. The indirect approach is where you are asking for this fellow's input. Okay, so example, good afternoon to you, John. You're okay? John says, I'm okay. You go on, great. Anyway, I'm rushing somewhere, but I needed to talk with you real quick. If you have a minute, see, show them that you're in a hurry. John says, okay, go ahead. Then you continue. You've always been supportive of me, and I really respect that about you. I've just started a business, but I'm really nervous. Before I get going, I need to practice on someone friendly. Would you mind if I practice on you? Indirect approach. John says, it's okay. Then you continue. Awesome. If I reserved a slot for you to attend my grand opening at Lakshmi Plaza, 4th floor, Nairobi, this Friday at 12:30 p.m., would you honor the invitation? If I, would you? Okay. John says, oh, yes. Then you continue and you confirm. All right. See you at Lakshmi Plaza, 4th floor at 12:30 p.m. this Friday. I'll just call you that morning to remind you. All right. And the prospect says, okay, you've just confirmed the date, the time, and the venue. Thank you and have a good day. You hang up. The end. Are we together? It's that simple. It really is that simple. And it doesn't have to take too long. Are we together? Good. A highly successful person. Here you'll probably most likely use the super indirect approach, where you give them the impression that they are not your prospect really, but you're looking for someone else through them that would benefit from the business. So here goes. Good morning, sir. How are you? And your prospect says, fine. Then you continue. You give them a compliment. I know you're busy and I have a million things. You show them that you're in a hurry. I know you're busy and I have a million things going on as well, but I'm glad I caught you. Do you have a minute to spare? He says, yes. Then you continue with your invitation. You're a highly successful person, and I've always admired how you do business. Compliment, okay? I recently started a business. It's clearly not for you, but I wanted to ask, do you know anyone who is money-minded, motivated, and would be excited about adding to their cash flow? See? Indirect approach. He says, I do. And you continue. I understand that you would like to know more about it before recommending anyone. So if I sent you the details to attend a Zoom meeting scheduled for 8:30 p.m. tonight, would you attend the meeting? And he says, yes. All right. I'm sending you the details as we speak. And I'll just remind you before the meeting starts if that's okay. And he says, it's okay. All right. Have a good day, sir. The end. And you hang up. End of training. End of invitation call. Right? Good. Now, we need to deal with some negative approaches. Some prospects are usually hard-headed and they decide they want to ask questions. Some of those questions really are not really founded on anything of value. Some people just want to look smart. Some people are just looking for a reason to say no. Okay? So what if they ask you what it's all about? What do you do? Use the three-strike approach, the three-strike rule. Okay, so every time your prospect asks you a question, you consider that a strike. Okay, so strike one is if the prospect asks you a question the first time, And how do you respond? You respond with empathy and understanding, and then you give them an assurance that they will get all the information when they attend the presentation or whatever kind of presentation it is, whether it's a Zoom meeting, a one-on-one, WhatsApp online presentation, whatever it is. So you say something like, I understand you, Mr. Prospect. I know why you're asking questions. Even me, when I came across this opportunity the first time, I actually asked the same kind of questions. But I assure you, when I took the time to understand this business, I got all the information I needed. And I assure you that you will also get all the information you needed. Now, if he stops there, you confirm the time that you continue with your invitation process. Okay, and you to the end, and you conclude it. Okay, now they may still decide to ask questions again. Strike two. That is strike two. What you do is you make reference to a book on finances or on investment. Are we together? So you can decide to add something like, you can ask them, have you read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, for example? And they say yes. Whether they say yes or no, you say, okay, it'll all make sense when you come and attend the presentation, or when you log into the Zoom meeting, or when you check out the WhatsApp presentation, whatever it is. Okay. Now, when they ask the question the third time, that is now what we call strike three. And when they ask the third time, what you do is you declare that they're out. You basically begin to withdraw the opportunity from them. And you tell them something like this: okay, Mr. Prospect, it looks like you may not be ready at this time for this opportunity. You have my number. Kindly get back to me when you are ready. Now, most prospects, whenever they realize that they are starting to lose value or the opportunity, most of the time they will withdraw their objections and they'll say something like, okay, I'm coming, right? Psychology. Are we together? Okay. So that's how you deal with people who ask questions. Strike one, strike two, strike three. Remember, you're in a hurry. You don't have time for questions. You have other people to call. You have 19 other people to invite. If you're adding to your name list every day, if you're prospecting every day, okay, you don't have much time to waste with someone who is too hard-headed to ask questions, instead of humbling himself to come and listen to a presentation where he will get all the information that he needs. Are we together? Good. Now, some things that you should never do during your invitation call. Number one, you should never mention the company name. Number two, you should never mention the word network marketing. Okay. You should never mention any of the company's products. Okay. You should never present your opportunity on phone. Now, these things that I've already mentioned, those four things I've mentioned, 1, 2, 3, 4, those four things that I've mentioned, the moment you begin to do these things, you risk a grave danger. Most people already have negative misconceptions concerning our business. And the moment you begin to mention anything to do with network marketing or AIM Global or any kind of product, or even begin to present your opportunity on phone, they will immediately say no based on the negativity that has been fed into their minds from other people who have either not done the business well, or people who have wrong misconceptions about this business. Okay, so you need to keep your information to yourself until they avail themselves for a presentation. Okay, you should never beg your prospect to view your opportunity. You are the CEO of your business. No one should no one should ever coerce you or bribe you or any such thing. You are the CEO of your business. Think about it this way. You are the CEO of your business, and you are looking for leaders. You are looking for executives and vice presidents, not for low-level employees. Are we together? So how does a CEO behave? One of the things that a CEO never does is that he never begs anyone for anything. Then he should never speak for more than 90 seconds. I remember at the beginning of my invitation call, at the beginning of my business, I sometimes would use a stopwatch to time myself. It worked. Nowadays, I find myself inviting for even 30 seconds. It's very possible, my friends. Okay, good. Now, finally, even as I conclude this training, the final thing that you should consider is this: the invitation mindset. Okay, as you invite your prospect, you must understand that you are not begging anyone to view your opportunity. You are the CEO of your business, and you should act like one. Invite your prospects with confident expectation that you're winning, with enthusiasm and respect for your prospect. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, as I usually is my custom, I usually conclude my trainings by emphasizing one thing: The one major thing that separates the successful from those that do not succeed is action. So if you will take action, you will definitely succeed. If you will not take action, then you will not succeed. All right, are we together? So you gotta take action, ladies and gentlemen. What I have shared with you, make sure that you go and implement it. Okay, make sure that you take action as of now. That you continue implementing it. All right, with consistency. Okay, and as you do that, everything will work for you for the better. Are we together? Now,